This week, the Aurora Police Department released its use of force report for 2023, a report that officials say will now become annual after an order from the State Attorney General's office.
9 News reporter Ria Jha is breaking down some of the trends and what they reveal about the department's direction. Ria?
Yeah, a lot of numbers here. So the department breaks down the number of use of force reports into low-level, intermediate, and lethal. And the report found officers were using more low-level tactics with no or minor injuries. The next one would be intermediate, which would either be using a weapon or something that wouldn't send someone to the hospital. And then the lethal force is the only category that dropped. That would include an officer-involved shooting or hospitalization, and that was the only one that they saw dropped, as I said. And APD said that it is reflective of their training.
The Aurora Police Department knows people are watching.
Specifically with Aurora, with regard to use of force.
Following the death of Elijah McClain and other high-profile cases, the Attorney General's office put the department under a consent decree. That investigation found patterns of racist and biased policing in the department. The agreement requires them to undergo extensive training and publish its use of force report.
I think the increase is primarily attributed to just the types of calls that we're responding to in 2023 in comparison to 2022.
From 2022 to 2023, use of force reports increased from 627 to 757.
The calls tend to be more in-progress type calls and tend to have more offenders on scene.
Deputy Chief Chris Jewell also pointed to an increase in calls after COVID and an increased ability to respond to calls due to more staffing.
We're encouraging our officers to do much more assessment and more recognition of what other alternatives there might be.
While the low and intermediate levels have increased, Deputy Jewell said there have been fewer deadly encounters.
And then we've also instituted some additional options for our officers to use that are also less lethal options with regard to some more of the intermediate weapons.
From 13 lethal use of force reports in 2022 to 4 in 2023. Last year, the department implemented new de-escalation training and a use of force policy that is also required under that decree.
As we look at this, we identify any training needs or deficiencies, which in this case, actually it's reinforcing the fact that our low-level techniques are working really well.
Deputy Chief Jewell said this report is for everyone to learn from.
That we can actually use that information to help improve our own operations.
Now, while the decrease in lethal force shows improvement, Aurora Police continues to face heavy criticism from the Black community, and they continue to use the most force on Black residents. 309 out of that 757 is 40% of the amount of use of force that they reported for 2023, and that is only while Black people only make up 16.6% out of Aurora's population. Ria Jha, 9 News.
That's when the numbers really tell you a bigger part of the story, perspective.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ria.